Hello, Joey.
Hi.
Joey Greene, speaking from
That's,
Stony Brook IEN conference. And actually, one of the reasons I really wanted to come to this conference was Alan Alda and the Alan Alda Science Center that is collaborating with the Applied Improv Network. Unfortunately, I can't be there, so I'm now in the Netherlands. So I saw your message on being at the session with Alan Alda yesterday.
yes.
I invited you to talk about it. So, how was
hmm
it?
It was really nice. It was a very inspirational. Also, an added bonus. And actually, I just walked out of that session. Aretha Sills, who is the granddaughter of Viola Spolin, is here, and she's doing kind of a history and retrospective, answering questions about her father and her grandmother's work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, uh, apparently she's never really had a chance to sit down with Alan Alda. So the two of them last night spent a significant portion of the presentation actually talking about their individual relationships with Paul Sills, which was really nice. It was kind of an added bonus.
And this Paul Sills, who is he?
Paul Sills is the son of Viola Spolin.
Okay.
He also played a significant role in developing and creating the Second City.
Okay, nice.
And so this is his daughter, and she, obviously has a first-hand account. And so I think the last time that Alan Alda saw her, she was a little baby.
Good. So they're catching up now. So,
Yeah.
what about the session itself and the talk you attended with Alan Alda? What was some insight that you took away from that?
It was actually really one of the things I thought was really cool is he literally is using improvisational games as you would with most students to just kind of teach them how to be better improvisers. And from the way that I understood it, what's happening now is they're learning to not be so like scientific talky and a little bit more loose. They're actually presenting science and scientific terms in a more playful way so that they can be relatable. And with science playing such a big factor in the world right now, with everything that's happening with climate change, and taking those big ideas and sort of distilling them down so that people can understand them, makes it easier for people to digest, especially somebody who might potentially be cynical or somebody like a politician that you need to have to approach. Another thing that I thought was sort of interesting was I thought that this was a relatively new concept, and I guess in the grand scheme of things in the world, it's relatively new, but this is 10 years. They're celebrating 10 years at the Alan Alda Center. And there's actually a huge staff. He has lots of people that go and teach these workshops. I don't know.
Oh, your sound is going away. Do you still hear me? I don't hear you anymore, Joey. I heard a bleep and then your sound went off. Let's see. Maybe I'll call you back. Let's see if that works.
Okay.
Yes.
I moved outside. Hopefully that will be better.
Okay. Well, I do see you again.
Okay.
You were telling me that the Alan Alda Science Center now celebrates 10th year anniversary.
Yes. And there was a much bigger staff. And if I understood the numbers correctly, I think they've worked with something. Sounds like an exaggeration, but I'm pretty sure he said there were like up to 10,000 scientists have been affected and influenced by these kinds of classes.
So with how many facilitators are they working then?
Oh gosh, I couldn't tell you an exact number, but we had a significant portion of participants on the day-to-day that came to attend the conference, and we had an entire page on the registration that was just people from the Alan Alda Center.
Okay, and they are not improvisers by background?
I think they are, at least from the personalities that I got from the people that were doing the presentation last night. They seem to have the right body language. They look like improvisers, if there's an improviser's look.
Okay, cool.
There's that playful smile. You know what I'm talking about, I think.
Yeah, so what I noticed in you is they have been doing this now for 10 years to bring science to like us, the normal people, in a way that we can understand what they mean.
What the session that I went to today that I thought kind of summed it up, even though they weren't necessarily connected, was they humanize science. They don't necessarily dumb it down. They just make it so that it's not this sort of concept that's above people. They bring it. They make it into something that you can relate to. That has compassion. It's not all just numbers.
Do you have an example how to humanize some scientific data?
There's a story that he told about a mirroring exercise that he did with a woman who had was a doctor, and she had a terminal illness. And he told her, and he was using all of the doctor terms, and she just kind of looked at him like, oh, okay, that's what I've got. And then he kind of realized that she didn't understand what he was saying. So he did a mirroring exercise with her and kind of talked about it and what was happening. And then she kind of had a tear, and then he realized that she had helped him to have a better understanding, and he had helped her to realize that her life was in it. And had he just thrown a bunch of scientific jargon at her, she would have been alone in that moment when she finally figured it out.
Yes.
Whereas at that point, she had a person there with her who was the doctor.
Yeah, who could really relate and listen on an empathetic level, because empathy is a big thing for him, isn't it?
Yes.
Did he talk about it?
It was very loose conversation. So the topics kind of flowed. There wasn't a specific we're going to talk about science and its impact now. It was part of the conversation. Also, then having Aretha there, the two of them would joke back and forth with each other. There was another exercise that he talked about that wasn't necessarily science, but it was talking about the dealing with scientists who might have fear of doing improv because it's not their thing. They're math-minded, kind of. And so it was an actress who obviously, the sort of stereotypical worst thing that could ever happen to an actor is to not have their lines in the middle of a play. And so most of the actors wanted to do improv workshops. This lady was like, no, I'm not interested. I'm not going to do it. So he said, why don't you bring a scene? Okay. And we'll improvise in and around that scene. So then they did some stuff and they were working on it. And so he said, now we're going to take it to the woods. I think probably before that scene happened, to the moment when he tells you the bad news. And so she goes through this whole thing about how they're in love and they're going to live together and it's going to be wonderful. And then rather than the guy addressing it, he just kind of touches her on the nose and smiles and walks away. And he said the understanding of that relationship altered the way she did the performance later that week, because when she went
Again, the sound is disappearing. Oh no. I'm gonna try and call you back one more time.
Are we back?
Yes.
Okay. So did you get up to the point?
Yes,
So,
like she played back a scene of a situation before something bad happened to her, and that made her understand the relationship better.
yeah, and so the anger and rage and hurt that she carried on to stage with her was much more like realistic and genuine because she had actually felt that moment from the improvised scenes. And I think he used that as a sort of to drive home the point that like when you're improvising with someone, you're truly feeling, you know, what it is that you're trying to express.
Yes, but that is more for the acting than the scientist trying to talk science in a humanized way.
Well, I think the point that he was getting at though was that when you improvise, there's a very fine line between just making it up and between actually just speaking the words. And so if you're not just a scientist that's talking and have a prepared speech, but you actually are feeling what it is, then you can put some emotion behind it and make it more empathetic when you're talking to a group of people. So
Yeah,
I think that was an illustration, of what he was trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and what is something that you are going to take away with you and try out for yourself?
I'm going to make more use of the mirroring exercises. And then another thing is he did a very, very fast improv sort of scenario about being compelled and compelling your audience, where it's like if you just say something to somebody, it's not really a story, it's not drama. And so he had a volunteer from the audience come up, and he gave her an empty glass, and he said, "Carry this from one side of the room to the other." And so that was kind of like the idea of like conveying information. And then when she came back, he filled the glass to the very, very tip top, and for comedic effect, filled it a little more, and then filled it to like it was drip drip. And then he said, "Okay, now I want you to walk across the room and walk back, and if you spill a drop, your entire village dies." And so she did it, and of course she made it back, and she was actually really successful. And so the audience was like relieved and cheered. And he said, "You all felt that, and we all knew that there's no village."
Yes.
And so that, I think, again, was the point of like humanizing science. If you can not list it off as facts and numbers that nobody cares about or understands, but you can list it off as something that compels people, and then it's a story about our existence, then it's compelling. People are going to buy into it. They're going to understand what you're saying. They're going to connect with you. I think it's connecting with scientists or scientists connecting with people on a human level, not on this is information that I've got to regurgitate back out to the public.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing this wisdom of Alan Alda with me and the rest of the network.
Yeah.
And enjoy the rest of your conference.
Yeah.
And hopefully see you some other day live.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.